Well, good morning. My name is Nick. I'm one of the pastors here at St. Mark's Community Church, and we're really glad that you are here. We're in the middle of this series called Difficult People, and I don't know about you, but I've kind of been noticing some difficult people around me, like more often than usual. It's kind of like when you buy a car, and you think, oh, it's the perfect car. No one has one like this one, and then you see them everywhere, right? Or the first time you see Tesla Cybertruck in person, and then you start noticing how all the other cars look so much better, right? So it's just ugly. I'm sorry. I had to be the one to say it. It's out there. If you like it, this is not. But we've been noticing some difficult people around me. But to be honest, though, I love difficult people, right? In fact, I wanted to make a bumper sticker. I don't put stickers on my cars. That's how I know which car is mine when I go out to Walmart parking lot. I'm like, that one, nothing on it. That one's mine, okay? And it says, I heart, difficult people. And I looked for it on the internet. I could not find it. There's a lot of things that people love, but difficult people is not necessarily one of them. But I do. And I thought it would fit great on a bumper sticker. I had to shorten it a little bit. I figured the people I love are difficult was a little too long and maybe a little offensive to my family. But the truth is we all love some difficult people. In fact, the people that we love the most are often the most difficult people in our lives, right? Especially those that are really close by, like in our house, like sleeping beside us or down the hall, right? And what makes these so difficult? What makes family relationships so difficult, right? One is you're kind of in the relationship no matter what. Like there's no takebacks, I looked into it. The science is not there. The kids, there's no return policy. This is lifelong relationships. You're in it for the long haul, right? Typical difficult people with coworkers or colleagues or customers and things like that. You can talk to them and they're difficult and you kind of walk away. Especially in my house, there aren't many rooms to walk away where there's not someone there, right? The expectations are high from our family members. We put these expectations we don't put on anyone else, right? And we think also, too, because you're my family that you're supposed to love me, too. So and I'm not going to be saying sorry a whole lot, it's just family. Don't worry about it. It's just family. Don't worry about it, family feels like they can meddle or get into every part of your life too. It's like it feels like this entitlement. There's very little boundaries. Especially if you have 3 kids and they share a bathroom. There's no boundaries whatsoever in there. I'm just so thankful that there's 2 bathrooms. That's all I'm thankful for. I don't have to share it with them. But then there's like different personalities, I have 3 kids and they're all different. I don't think I've met, 2 siblings that were alike. It just doesn't happen. And so today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about how family relationships are difficult, how they are oftentimes difficult people. And we're going to be looking at our story today. And now I'm just going to let you know right up front, this is a long story, and we're going to be doing a lot of reading from this story, but we're going to interject in here. And when we do, I want you to think about, okay, which of these characters in our story do you most relate to? Which of these characters do you most feel like that person right there, that's a difficult person? That's the one that I would feel it. Because now, when we read it, you'll see there are 2 characters in our story that clearly are kind of the bad guys, okay? But as I read it this week, I thought to myself, but you know what? I can see how every one of these, someone could say, that they're being difficult, or I can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to read through it, and then I'm going to pause, and we're just going to talk a little bit about it. Does that sound good? All right. So let's start out right here. Genesis chapter 27. When Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his son, his older son, and said to him, "My son, here I am." He answered. Isaac said, "I am now an old man and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your equipment, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like, and bring it to me to eat, so that I may give you my blessing before you die." So Isaac is the patriarch of the family, right? He's in charge of all the wealth, in charge of of everything, all the relations with other tribes and everything. So he's kind of over all of this. In particular, he's in charge of this legacy that he's trying to pass down. Because Abraham, his father, God told Abraham that he's going to make his family. He's going to bless the world through his family. Okay? So Isaac's got this in the back of his mind. He's got two sons, an older and a younger, and he's trying to figure out who's going to take this blessing, who's going to take on this responsibility to pass, this very important mission from God, fulfill this promise that God has made. And I'm sure he probably, over the years, have looked down at Jacob and Esau and thought, I don't think God, maybe he got it wrong, right? Because I think sometimes I look down at my kids and I'm like, promise of the world, I don't know. They're pretty awesome, though. They're great. But it's true. So there's this immense amount of pressure on him to share, to bring down this, carry down this legacy of how God is going to bless the world. And so when I think about Isaac, I think about, now he obviously is a parent, but I feel like in this point in his life, it's almost, I feel like a grandparent, right? I think of a grandparent who is struggling with maybe generational differences, right? Maybe like struggling to relate to their kids and their grandkids, right? And look, I'm not old, but this week I ran my script through an AI program, just kind of, hey, clean it up, see if there's anything going on, And it marked an illustration where I had used Facebook, and it marked it and said, "This may be out of date." Like, what in the world? Out of touch already, right? And so there's this tension, right? Because there's this tension of how it was done in the past and now how they're doing it now. It's always been that way. It's the way it is now. It will always be that way, right? This limited influence that you're kind of getting as a parent, a grandparent, right? You used to have this control over your kids, and then they kind of move out. Now you've got grandkids. But your kids are parents of those kids, and so you're feeling like, well, what is my influence? What is my role? Where do I fit in? All the family dynamics are changing. I realized this a little while ago that one day my kids are going to choose someone to come and be part of our family forever. Right? They're going to go choose a spouse. This is a good reason to make sure your kids are wise decisions, because this person is going to come in and I didn't invite them in, right? And it's going to kind of blow things up a little bit, and that's hard. That's difficult. There's a lot going on with in-laws and everything, family dynamics. Your health and your energy's fading. Isaac's getting old, and he can't do the things he used to do. His mind wants to, but his body won't, right? And then you're maybe sometimes overstepping boundaries, and everyone's getting upset at you, right? But there are grandkids, so for grandparents, that's the constellation, I guess. But I can see, you see what we're doing here, like that could be there's some difficult, a grandparent could look at their family and be like, there's some difficult people here. I'm trying my best, but there's some difficult people. All right, moving on. Now Rebecca is Isaac's wife. Rebekah was listening as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, bring me some game, prepare me some food, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die. Now, my son, listen carefully to me. Go out to the flock, bring me 2 choice goats so I can prepare them some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat so that he may give you his blessing before his eyes. Now look, when we read this story, I told you there was 2 kind of villains in this story, and Rebecca is one of them, okay? Obviously, Rebecca is dealing with some stuff, okay? Obviously, maybe her and Isaac are not seeing things quite the same way of who should inherit the family's wealth, who should be entrusted to pass on this legacy, this promise to bless the entire world. But Rebecca's got, she's got some issues of her own, and some things that have gone on in her life already, right? She's struggled with infertility. She had a difficult pregnancy, had twin boys, and that was it's a crazy thing. Twins are crazy, and so they were fighting in her belly, and it was just craziness. There's some favoritism in her family, meaning Jacob is the one she loves. Isaac loves Esau, and there's this kind of this favoritism thing. So she's got one son that can't do no wrong, and he's always home with mama and curled up on a couch, and we're doing word puzzles and watching our favorite shows, And Esau's like, I just want to go. I want to get out of here. I'm like I want to go do stuff. I'm going to go kill stuff and hunt stuff. And so there's this kind of disconnect, right, between her and one of the sons. She's come up with this plan, this deception thing. It's not going to go out well for her. And there's going to be some pain and struggles and some regrets and some guilt and some shame, right? And parents, we struggle with a lot of guilt and shame, especially moms. I know moms do, especially if you're a working mom. I know my wife talks about it all the time. It's like it's very difficult to leave the home and go work and because I feel bad because I should be at home. And there's this strain that's putting all this is putting on her marriage. And then there's this unfulfilled prophecy. Okay, so Rebecca, when she was pregnant with the boys, God told her, he said, look, Jacob is going to be the one that inherits the promise. He's going to be the one that inherits the wealth. His family line is going to be the ones that I bless the world through. So she knows this from the start. Right? So I would imagine that she sees all this potential in Jacob. She's going to tell this, I know he's going to be the one. And we're getting right up to the end of Isaac's life, and he needs to give this blessing to one of his sons. Rebecca looks at it and says, it's not going to be Esau. And so she comes up with this plan to deceive him. And so when I think about Rebecca, I think about marriage, right? I think about her marriage to Isaac. Marriage is a little difficult. It's a little difficult. Pam and I have been married for 22 years. And whenever we tell someone that we've been married for 22 years, they always ask the same questions like, oh, man, what's the secret? And this recently happened. We were in New York City, and we came up to the counter of the hotel, and we told her, we're going to, checking in, our anniversary is in a few weeks. She said, oh, that's amazing. How 22 years. And the young girl looks at me and says, wow. She says, what, how? What's the secret? And I was like, I should have an answer for this, And she's like, and she says, oh, just take your time. I'm like, I want to have something quick and to say, don't go to bed angry, or be each other's best friend. Don't forget date night. Something meaningful, right? Something I just kind of like, hang in there. She kind of looked at me like, don't give up. Don't ever give up. It's like, what in the world? But yeah, marriage is difficult because here's what I want to say, right? This is why it trips me up because I want to look her in the eyes and I want to say, look, you have no idea how difficult this is, right? This one, give me a one line, give me the tweet version of how to make the 22 years work. Okay. So I'm working on that. I've got some ideas, but marriage is difficult. And then you add kids in that mix. And so you've got two family histories that are now trying to create a new history with this new person. And it's hard. It is difficult. It is so difficult. I literally text my wife before coming out here, the 9 o'clock service, an apology. I'm sorry. And, it's very difficult. And then add in life transitions, aging parents, all this. It is such a difficult thing. So I'm going to imagine Isaac and Rebecca really have a strain on their marriage, okay? All right, well, let's introduce Jacob. Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, while I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him. That would bring a curse down on myself rather than a blessing." His mother says, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me." So he went and he got them. He brought them to his mother, and she prepared some tasty food just the way his father liked. Then Rebekah took the best clothes from Esau, put them on her son, which she had in the house, and she put them on the younger son, Jacob. And she also covered his hands and the smooth part of his neck with goat skins. And she handed to her son, Jacob, the tasty food and bread and said, "Get in there. You're up." Jacob. Oh my goodness, Jacob. So Jacob is a complex character. If you read his entire story, his entire life, very complex. He and to think this is the guy that God's promise is going to go through, honestly, is disturbing to me sometimes. Right, the deception, and he's pretty much a liar. He manipulates the people around him, and he kind of makes every situation about him, and how can he get what he wants and the best for him. And he's kind of a shady character, to be honest with you. Like, he doesn't strike me as like one of the fathers of our faith. But I think, though, if we look at Jacob, I think we can, here's what I think about. I think about the pressure that he's under. I think about the pressure that Rebekah has put him under, that his father Isaac has put him under. I'm sure Abraham, his grandfather, maybe, he knows about this promise that's being passed down. He knows the responsibility of it all. And I think about there are plenty of students probably in the room, and kids and parents. And parents, I think about the pressure that we put on our kids. Right? The academic pressure. You got to make the grade. You got to make the team. You got to get into the right high school, get into the right college, so you can get into the right career. And it's for good reason. Right? Like, we want the best for our children, but sometimes, we put just so much pressure on them. It can strain relationships. It can make their lives feel difficult, right? I mean, we compare them to others. My goodness, she dresses her son up like her other son, right? Like, how would you feel about that? Like, talking about, like, be more like your brother. Like, literally, come here. Like, first of all, you don't smell right. You put this on. Like, Jacob is trying to do everything he can to please his parents, but it's pretty overbearing. So, okay, keep reading here. I know it's a lot, but here we go. So he went to his father and he said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game, so that when you may give me your blessing." Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord gave me success." Guys, kids, if you're in here, your parents trap you in a situation, you're like, how'd you get out of school? Why are you not in school? Why are you not in bed? "The Lord gave me success." The Lord, why are you at 2 o'clock in the morning playing video games? "The Lord gave me these games." Woman, don't say that. Pretty good, pretty sly. So he replied, "Then Isaac said to Jacob, 'Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not.' Jacob went too close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother, and so he proceeded to bless him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," he replied. Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat so that I may give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him, and he ate, and he brought him some wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field. The Lord is blessed." So the con is working. Right, the ruse has worked. Here's what you need to know about birthright and blessing. Okay, you need to know a lot more, but this is all that I'm going to tell you. The birthright, like Pete talked about last week, Jacob already has, because the birthright would have been went to the older son typically, and it was essentially the leadership of the family. Right? Like he was going to, you be in charge of all the things that pretty much that Isaac is doing, the older son would be doing, which was Esau. And like we learned last week, Jacob didn't deceive his brother, but he seized an opportunity to, and Esau really didn't want the responsibility. So he already has the birthright. Okay, so he already has this, and this is the promise of the lineage that his family would continue on. The blessing would have been, an older son would have gotten double share of the blessing. Okay, so double wealth so that he can take care of the family was the purpose, all right? Now, if all that is like, I don't understand, why is this so confusing? Maybe it's better to think of it like this, okay? The birthright and the blessings are like infinity stones, okay? Jacob has them all. Jacob has the power, okay? Jacob has all the power now, and so it's obviously going to cause a fracture in the relationship. All right, so the blessing. May God give you heaven's dew and earth's riches, an abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you and peoples bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and may those who bless you be blessed. So Jacob, again, he already has the birthright. Now he has the blessing. Now we introduce Esau, the older brother, the firstborn. Okay, Esau is the eldest. He's got that firstborn pressure, I'm sure. That he's known from an early age. All this is going to be his responsibility, and I'm sure he's running around like Simba. I'm going to be king. I don't know. That's just what I think. But the pressure has been all his life. This is who you're going to be. And now you've lost the birthright, because you traded it for a bowl of soup, okay? He's going to have some regrets over that, right? And then there's this parental favoritism, right? Obviously his dad is on board, but his mom is always, Jacob's his son, her son. This is the mama's boy thing, right? And then Esau has made some relationship choices that have really put a damper on holidays, okay? And really caused some problems with his parents. But Esau comes back in, and here's what we're going to find out happens here. After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father, and he said to him, "My father, please sit up and eat some of my game, and so that you may give me your blessing." So I'm thinking Esau's thinking, this is what I've pictured all my life, right? This is going to be it. Now, Esau doesn't necessarily want the responsibility, but the double portion of the wealth, he's on board for. So his father Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" He said, "I'm your son," he answered, "your firstborn, Esau." Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? So I ate it just before you came in, and I blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed." Poor Esau, right? I mean, but Esau's got his own problems. He's kind of it feels like a kind of a loner. He doesn't really want the responsibility that he has been bred to take, right? He just kind of wants to be his own person. right? He just wants to go out and do his own thing. And his parents and his dad are just pressuring him to be somebody, you know? And I feel like Esau reminds me of like young adults, right? You know, when you graduate college or you graduate high school and you get into life and you're like, the world is my oyster. This is it. This is all I've ever wanted was independence. I'm going to grab it, you know? And then you get your first like rent bill and you're like, I'm not going to grab it. It's all gone. You know, adulting is hard. It's difficult. And there's this strain in the relationship. The parents are still trying to help you, trying to, guide you along the way. But you've got this attitude like, I don't need you unless I need some money. And then all of a sudden I'm there. Some of you parents know, right? But it's difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. There's differing values of, I want to go my own way. And that's hurtful for a parent, right? It's difficult for a parent. And for a young adult, they're trying to go and trying to figure this whole thing out, but they're not quite equipped fully to do it right. And the parent's role, we talk often about, you go from, you're more of a coach now in your kid's life. And it's not easy. There can be some difficulty there. All right, so we're going to read just a little bit more and then we'll be done, okay? Here we go. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, "Bless me too, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." And Esau said, "Isn't he rightly named Jacob? This is the second time he has taken advantage of me. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing." And then he asked, "Haven't you reserved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have made him lord over you, and I have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine, so what could I possibly do for you, my son?" Esau is upset, and then Isaac gives him a blessing that is not very good. I won't read it, but it's not as good as the first one. It doesn't say, his parents or his family is going to bow down to him and serve him and any of those things. But isn't that not a crazy story? Do you not feel a little bit better about your family? I did. When I read it, I was like, okay. It's not so bad. It's not so bad. But what I love about the story, and I love that this is part of our faith history, is that the Jewish writers, they didn't try to clean up the story. And they do this throughout the scripture. There's no cleaning it up. In fact, sometimes I feel like they make things up to make it worse. Like this can this really have happened? And but I love that because it shows that, look, families are difficult. They're complex. They're complicated. And our relationships in there can be difficult at times. So I've only talked about all of the difficulties of family relationships. But there are as many difficulties there are in family relationships, there are also rewards. It can be an incredibly rewarding relationship with a spouse, with a child, with a grandparent, between siblings. But here's the deal. There is no quick answer. There is no shortcut. Right? These, again, are the most difficult, but they can be the most rewarding, but you're in it for the long haul. So I want to share just a few things that we have learned that I think possibly may help you, and I know for sure would have helped Isaac, Jacob, Esau, and Rebekah. First thing is this, is relationships are first. Relationships are first. And you can say it however you want to say it, right? You want to say pick your battles, lose the battle, win the war. Right? This is a marathon, not a sprint. Like the people around you will never live up to the way you never live up to your standards. Never live up to what you want them to be in your life because they were never meant to be fulfilling for you, right? God was meant to take that place. So, but oftentimes we have this, there's all kinds of flaws. There's all kinds of things that you deal with when you're close and knit with someone. And if we don't learn to overlook some flaws, like some character quirks, accept that those around us are different. And then I think this goes beyond empathy. It goes beyond, I just want to see how it is from their point of view. No, sometimes you have to ignore them. Sometimes you have to say, like, not now. That is not good, but I can't deal with that now. Because doing so would hurt the relationship. Here's what I mean. You could look at my family, and you could make a quick assessment probably of all the things that we're doing wrong, and you could write them all down, okay? And then you could invite me to lunch, and we would sit there, and you would say, okay, look, this thing here, you need to fix this. You need to fix about the way you're talking to your kids. You need to fix about how your kids talk back to you. Okay, you need to fix this right here in your marriage, and this and this and this. And it's really easy to see all the things that I need to fix, right? And we do that. And we say, I can't believe that she would let her kids do that. I can't believe I would not let my kid do that. I would not let my husband talk to me like that. Or I would not, I can't believe he lets her talk to him that way. He's so whipped. And I would look at you and be like, look, I have to sleep beside them, right? And this is scary. We have sharp things in the house, and I don't trust them all. Right? But here's the thing, is Pam and I decided a long time ago that we were in this for the long haul. That we wanted our adult kids, we wanted a relationship with them. We wanted them to have a friendship with our adult kids. So we parent that way. We don't always get it right. And I can tell you story after story. We could be up here all afternoon of all the things that we do wrong and all the mistakes that we make and all the texts and all the, sit down beside my bed and let daddy tell you how he's wrong and I am sorry. But the most important thing is the relationship, because if the relationship's gone, the influence is gone. And we decided also a long time ago that these kids were one day could be gone. And what will be left is Nick and Pam. And we need to like each other, and we want to live the rest of our lives together. Okay, so be honest, and I tell the kids all the time, I'm looking forward to the day when you're kind of not living in my house, right? And it sounds, we laugh, and we're like, oh, he shouldn't say that. Sorry. But I love my wife, and I want to spend time with her, and it's very difficult sometimes when there's kids and there's responsibilities and everything else. But we decided, and so we live our lives that way. We decided that our siblings and our parents are going to be a priority, so we live, and we live our life that way. And I think in a lot of times in relationships that we can't overlook flaws, and we feel like that we constantly need to be telling someone what to do. It creates this do to be relationship. Like I have to do something to be something, right? I have to do something to be your husband, or you have to do something to be my wife, or you have to do this to be my son, or you have to do this. And we kind of put the relationship kind of out there as a bargaining chip. And it's the last thing that we want to do. Because what's going to happen is we always run to the people that make us feel free, right? When we want to be in relationships, we want to be in relationships of people that make us feel free, that we can feel vulnerable, that we can not feel judged and have fear. And that's difficult, especially for a parent. Very difficult, right? I used to judge, I still do, other parents, right? I remember when I was before I had kids, before I think Pam and I were even married, I remember going to visit, like I was a youth pastor, so I'd go and visit families, and they'd invite me over to lunch, and stuff like that. And I would kind of walk around the house and be like, whoa, like what happened here? Like there was a mess. And then I walked into the kids' rooms, and I was like, what is going on in here? And I said, I would never let my kid, right? And then I had kids. And now someone walks into my house and says those things, and it does not bother me a bit. right? It doesn't bother me. You know, I walk into my daughter's room and there's clothes and stuff in my son's room and stuff, and it's like I just kind of look at him like, you gonna do something about this, you know? And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not like they can do whatever they want. That's not the case, okay? But what I want to do is go in there and grab all their stuff and take all their electronics away and be like, you're being disrespectful to me and your mother and Jesus, and you need to clean up your crap, you know? And because it bugs me. It bugs me. Like, there's just crap everywhere in my house. I'm like, what the world, you know? But the relationship, again, is the most important thing that I'm going to change that. And it's the same thing with my marriage. And here's what you have to do, is you have to remember you're in it for the long haul. It's about the relationship, and so you're gonna have to watch your heart. It's really easy. If you've been married for 15 minutes, you know it's really easy to get bitter. It's really easy to start harboring some of this bitterness. You know, I've been doing what Nick said. He told me to overlook wrongs. So that's what I'm doing. That's not what I mean, right? You have to, if you overlook it, you have to get over it. You have to come to some resolve in yourself and saying, if this person doesn't change this about them, I'm going to figure out a way to love them anyways. And you have to protect your heart so it doesn't get bitter. And one of the ways you can do that, and I think it's the easiest, so simple, but it's so impactful to your heart, is gratitude, right? Gratitude. Now, I know gratitude is really hot right now with the social media and the TikToks. You know, every, Barlow girl is like, oh, just out here, practicing gratitude, manifesting a destiny, That's not what I'm talking about. I mean, practice gratitude, that's good. But seriously, it will start to change your heart. A few years into Pam and I's marriage, I would write notes to her, and I would write notes like, hey, I love you, and thank you so much for this, and thank you for this. And she, I'm so smart. I saw that she liked those things, so I kept doing them. And I said to myself, I'm going to write her a note every single day. Not like a long letter, don't get me wrong. Sometimes they were long. But just a note to thank her. Okay, I'm going to write a note to them. I'm going to thank her for something. Now, about day 7, I kind of blanked out. I'm like, I don't know what else to thank her for. I can only thank her for doing the dishes so long, and and so I was like, and to be honest with you, and I just told her really this recently, was that I was struggling to like her at that moment. I was struggling in my marriage to communicate and to love this person, like this person. And so, but I committed to it. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Sometimes maybe I made things up. I don't know. I have to go back and read them. Probably not. But what began to happen was our relationship changed. Right? Our relationship began to get better. We started communicating better. I started appreciating things about her. And it wasn't because she changed. It was because my heart changed. It was because with gratitude, it changes the way you see. It changes the lens that you look through. And you can start seeing the good things that you're thankful for and the things that the other person is doing to sacrifice. Now, did all the things that annoyed me about her go away? No. They're still there. Is she in here? Joking. She's got a list. You're coming over to the house. She's got a list of me, so I don't. But it didn't, but my heart changed. My heart changed. And that was huge for me. Next thing is this, is you have to learn to love. It is not natural. We are not this predisposition to love people. And this is hard with family, and this is hard with marriage, because we think, I'm married to them. They're my husband or they're my wife, and I'm just going to love them forever. And everything's going to be, rainbows and butterflies and little ponies, and I'm going to have the feeling, when he does something silly, the love's going to overpower. And I'm going to say, it's okay, I love you. It does not happen. It doesn't happen. Pam and I sit down with, we love meeting with couples for premarital counseling. They come over to the house and we give them the whole spill. You know, a lot of what I'm saying now, but a lot more stories about me. And we love to do that. We love to bring couples over, but we have to kind of share this wisdom with them. And we have to share this thing. It's like, hey, look, in about 2 months, you're going to wake up and you're not going to like the person you're sleeping next to. And of course, they always say the same thing. I cannot believe, no, that is not true. You know, which is good. They should say that. You know, it's that they're getting married. If they didn't say that, maybe I would have something to say. But then there's no way I could not like this person because you want to commit your life to this. Good. And then about 2-3 months in, we get a call. Hey, can we come over and have a dinner with you guys? And the first couple of times we're like, you know, this happened to Pam and I were like, what's going on? I don't know. And then we started seeing a pattern. About 2 or 3 months in, all the things that we said started to happen, right? He would do something dumb. She would do something crazy. They would just have a bad day and snap at each other or whatever. And they were having a real hard time living with each other, a real hard time in this relationship. And they would come over and they were like, you know what, you're right. I don't really like him. I'm too late, you know? But you have to learn. It's not natural. You have to learn to love. This is what Paul says about love. This is the love passage, right? This is what is read at weddings, and for good reason. This is what we have to do. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. That's a high standard, right? If I were to put my name in place of love, you know, and ask Pam to give me a quiz, like how am I doing on love? And Nick is patient. How are you doing? 1 to 10, right? Or Nick is kind, or Nick doesn't keep records of wrongs. Nick always perseveres. Nick always hopes, always trusts. I don't know that I would pass the test. I like to think I get a D, maybe. And honestly, D's good. D's fine. But that's a high standard. So these relationships, these family relationships, this is not, they're always going to be here. They're always going to be difficult. And there's always going to be hurt. And so you may be here today, and we've been talking about this, and you've been thinking about some people in your life, and hope you didn't elbow anybody, right? But maybe there's some hurt. Maybe there's some pain and some really deep-seated hurt within you. I want to share with you just a song. I'm not going to sing it. It's a song that is written, that is sung at a Passover meal, the Jewish Passover meal, and has for centuries this has been the case. And it's a child's song, and if you look it up online, you'll understand why I don't sing it. It's just kind of like, you know, but the meaning of it is so incredibly deep that I think it's just worth just kind of ending on this. Okay? And it's around this word called dayenu. It's a Hebrew word that means it would have been enough. And families will gather around this Passover meal. The Passover meal is about the exodus of the Israelites left Egypt. Okay? Jacob's family, Jacob eventually will have a son named Joseph. Joseph will go to Egypt, bring all his family to Egypt. They're there for a couple hundred years, and they turn into slaves. Then we enter Moses, and there's this exodus and this amazing thing, and now the nation of Israel is born. This is the meal that they celebrate that. And so what this song does, it goes through every single event, or not every event, but events that God had come through for the Israelites. And they say, and it says, if God did this, but if he didn't, it would have been enough. it would have been enough. If he had done this, but he didn't do this, it would have been enough. And at some point, I think that we need to realize, I'm going to read it to you, but we need to feel and realize that this is a long haul thing. Like these relationships are going to be in your life for the rest of your life, we hope. And so there are no quick fixes and there are no shortcuts. And if you look about of how the Israelites had this promise from Abraham, came all the way up through these broken people. There've been a lot of mistakes and a lot of hurts and a lot of pains, but God was there and he was sufficient. And he's sufficient through it all. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to say Dayenu. And when you hear me say Dayenu, I want you to say it would have been enough. Okay, so let's practice. Dayenu. Enough. Very good. So if he had brought us out from Egypt and not carried out judgments against them, Dayenu, it would have been enough. If he had carried out judgments against them and not against their idols, Dayenu. If he had given us their wealth and had not split the sea for us, Dayenu. If he had split the sea for us and not taken us through it on dry land, Dayenu. If he had taken us through the sea on the dry land and not drowned our oppressors in it, Dayenu. If he had not drowned our oppressors in it and had not supplied our needs in the desert for 40 years, Dayenu. If he had supplied our needs in the desert for 40 years and had not fed us the manna, Dayenu. If he had fed us the manna and had not given us the Sabbath, Dayenu. If he had not given us the Sabbath and had not brought us before Mount Sinai, Dayenu. If he had brought us before Mount Sinai but not given us the Torah, Dayenu. If he had not given us the Torah and not brought us to the land of Israel, Dayenu. If he had brought us into the land of Israel and not built for us the holy temple, Dayenu. God is sufficient. And he's enough. This is going to be hard, and it's difficult, but he's enough. It may not go the way we want it to go. In fact, many times it won't. But God is enough. He's in control, and he's enough. Let's pray. God, thank you so much for family. Thank you so much for these close relationships. And even though they are difficult, God, they can be so rewarding. God, I pray that we would, there would not be this pressure to be and to do something, to be something. God, but that these relationships would not produce fear, God, but they would produce freedom. They would allow our kids and our parents and our grandkids to grow up and be free in this relationship so that when times are tough, they come to us, that we have this relationship with them, God. Sustain us. Sometimes, God, your hands just need to just hold us. But Lord, I pray, God, that you would do that. You would sustain us. You're enough. And we love you. Amen.